All right, well, we are back on the KSR Lexus Burnout Car for day 5 of the build. It's supposed to be done today because it's a 5-day build. Luckily today I don't have my kids tonight, so it's gonna probably be a long night, but I really hope that I get it running today. So it's a little after 10 now. You can see it's a major thrash by pretty much all of us. Drew's working on oil cooler lines because we got the oil cooler mounted, you can see. Eddie's doing wiring, and then I'm about to start building a header because you guys have seen what we're doing with the header on this thing. It's gonna be kind of wild, but let's see if we can get cracked into this thing and get it up and running today. It's a long shot. Let's see what happens. All right, so how are we gonna build a header that's gonna fit to that? Well, that's what we're gonna do today. And the first thing I'm gonna do is to weld on a little short extension onto here using this pipe, which is 2-inch, and then all of this pipe is 1 7/8. So the idea is that this is 2-inch by 0.65, I think, or 0.62. So the idea is that this is 1 7/8 on the inside, which means that these pipes should slide inside of that. Unfortunately, on my first test piece, it's close, but it doesn't do that. So, like everything else, we're gonna have to modify some stuff. So, I'm gonna first cut some 2-inch sections of these and weld them onto the collector, because with it going out and around and over the engine, there's absolutely no way we would get this on in one piece. So I've got to make the collector a slip fit. So to make this somewhat work, right where Eddie's standing is somewhere where the collector's gonna be. What, you don't want to be in the camera?
I'm not, guy. I just wanted to be out of your way.
Yeah, so right here, or somewhere in that general area, is where the collector's gonna be. So part of the trick to a 8-to-1 collector is you want to have the pulses hit the collector as the engine is, like the firing order of the engine. So you can see 1, 8, 7, 2, 6, 5, 4, 3, back to number 1. And we need to try and keep them equal length. That, I have a feeling, is going to be a pretty big challenge. So what I'm planning to do is to do number 1 first, because hopefully that's the long side, and then see what we can do as far as getting things all in and around to the collector and still make, you know, if they're somewhat close, like within an inch or 2, I think we'll be okay. So because of that, we're actually mounting the coils down on the frame rails. What you are in the front accessories right now, the
fans and all that.
Fans and all that good stuff.
Yep.
Cool. So time for us to keep cranking. Just going to be a time lapse here while we're chopping and making sparks, and Drew's welding up the oil cooler mount. So we'll have that plumbed here in a little bit. And actually, once we do that, we could unload the AccuSump and prime the motor with oil.
Good.
Maybe.
Check for leaks.
Check for leaks.
Yeah.
That'd be
well.
let's hope it doesn't leak. All right, time to get to work. All right, everybody. Well, if you haven't noticed, this is a pretty long video because of a couple of reasons. So one reason is I did some longer time lapses, even though I sped them way, way, way up so that they wouldn't be as long as they were. But basically, this video ends up covering about 2.5 days worth of working on the car. Day 5 kind of turned into a day that I didn't put any work on the car hardly because of some other obligations that popped up with Soccer Mom that we'll show you possibly in tomorrow's video. Might be another couple of days before I do that one. Not 100% sure yet. But we had a
big issue with Soccer Mom, and we had to go fix it. So, along with the longer time lapses towards the middle part of this video and all the way to the end, it's a lot of raw shop footage as we're getting ready for the first crank. Now, maybe you want to go ahead and fast forward ahead to the part where we crank it. Maybe not. But either way, appreciate you guys watching the video. And also a huge thanks to everybody that's been buying merch from winwithksr.com, and to those of you that have been calling the shop to get your parts. Like that, it really helps us with growing the business. And, you know, aside from the YouTube stuff, KSR is a fully functioning auto shop, customization shop, race car building shop, whatever you want to call it. And we are dealers for a lot of really good products like Holley and Brian Tooley Racing, or BTR, as you guys will see him in this video, or see him in the engine building video a couple of videos ago. But all that stuff helps keep us going so that we can hire more people, bring on some better content, and on and on. So if you've been watching the actual time lapse, you've seen, you know, that I'm trying to get ready to get this first tube in so that I can begin to build the rest of the header. And, you know, we're not only am I doing it myself, but kind of getting the guys' take on it and see what they think of the angle and the location and all that stuff. Oh, I got my Fast and Free shirt on. That's still my favorite shirt, in case you guys are wondering. Like, that's just a cool shirt because love America and I like that shirt. Anyways, so once I get that first tube kind of set, which is where it is now, it really helps with the visualization and, you know, kind of wrapping my head around what I've got to do, where I need to place the collector to try and help me in the future fabrication to design the rest of the tubes. So as it gets down towards the end, you guys will see that tubes start stacking up on top of each other, and I've got to go around a tube or put kind of a jog in a tube to where it lets the next tube come out straighter so that the length of that tube is shorter so that the total length better matches the other tubes. Now, I'm not going to lie, towards the end of the header tube fabrication, I quit measuring pipes and just got them done because I had to get it done. We're literally loading up and riding out, headed for Bristol today, and at least while I'm editing this video. But right now we're doing the building, so you guys can watch and enjoy that.
Well, everybody, we're not where we need to be. I had to go run out for an emergency, which you're going to see in another video about Soccer Mom. Sometimes these things happen, but I've gotten the one tube done, and they got the Eddie got the fuel pressure regulator mounted. Drew's got the tank in and welded a bung onto it. He also redid the outlet on the bottom, which that might be a little bit of a problem with the fan. Hopefully we get that cleared, but the hose is going to come wrap around. He got this hooked up as well, the low radiator hose back in. So definitely making progress. Got the balancer on, got the coils mounted. Looks like a stock coil wire is going to work, so that's pretty cool. Got the brake lines tied back together, which we just eliminated the ABS module and ran them all together in T's and stuff. So that should work. The wiring is all done out, at least into the engine bay. I got the flanges cut in half, so each pipe will have like two, or each flange will have two pipes on it, so that we'll be able to take out two at a time. Got all of the pieces welded on there, which honestly took me longer than I thought it was gonna, but that's the way these things go. They always take longer than you think they're gonna take. And even when you're paying somebody else, it's gonna take longer than you think. It's gonna cost more than what you think. It's an unfortunate part of this stuff because they just eat up hours for custom fabrication stuff. This is our own project that we're just smashing together. And we're already going to be a day longer than I thought. And that's with 3 of us working on it. So you could kind of think of that as 3 days worth of work if you were at home doing it by yourself. So I'm going to keep working on headers, or header. I'm going to do number 8 next and try to keep the length somewhat equal. So I'm going to try and keep the length. So I'm going to try and keep the lengths somewhat equal. I'm hoping they're within a couple of inches of each other, a couple of inches. It's getting late. I've got to get at least 2 or 3 more tubes done just so I can feel like I've accomplished something today. I ended up out of the shop all afternoon, had a problem with my truck that Eric got fixed, we think. So it's been a day, but we have another 2 days before it's got to go in the trailer, which by the time this video airs, it's going to be basically the day before the event. But that's the way these things go. All right, I got to get back to work. All right, well, we are back the next day. So technically day 6. And yeah, I'm gonna combine it with the day 5 video, which you guys already know because you're watching. And we haven't quite gotten it there. And it's already afternoon. Just had some stuff to deal with this morning, mostly with a new toy, actually 2 new toys that are sitting over there, which I don't have time to tell you about now. But we got some setup help from the owner of one of them, and so that kind of took me away this morning. But Eddie's been cranking away on mounting a shifter in there, which we can't see with the glare, but there's a shifter. Oh yeah, it's gonna make cooler noises than that though. So the oil cooler lines are done, fuel system is done, electrical to the engine is done. See, we modified our fuel rail, welded a bung to it, and we drilled and tapped the bottom of it to screw the fuel pressure sensor right into the bottom of the fuel rail. Kind of tuck it up under the intake manifold. I've got 3 header tubes done and a kind of rough idea with where the other tubes are going to go. Coil packs are mounted, which I think I said something about yesterday. We just teed all the brake lines together, which I think I said something about that yesterday. Got an accessory belt on with the balancer. What else did we do today? Got some wiring done, which we can't really see. But back to header building. Like, I want to hear this thing run. Dang it. So let's get back to work, see if I can knock this thing out today and hopefully get it running. Hopefully. Stay tuned and see if we make it happen.
All right, this is going to be the last of the big time lapses for this video. Kind of threw some audio soundtrack on the middle one, just because it's late and these voiceovers do take a little while to record, and I'm tired because I got to go to work tomorrow and then get the trailer and the rig loaded up and take off for Bristol. But anyways, you can see we're progressing forward on the header. And, well, now we're going to hook up the shifter because there's all of us kind of working on the car right now. So we kind of end up, you know, jumping over to different jobs, like we're tidying up some of the lines under the car. And then we're going to bolt the shifter on to the transmission. You can see Eddie's kind of working on that a little bit. And that's one kind of negative about everybody working on the same car, because sometimes it slows you down because, you know, like I need to be building headers right now, but here we are up in the air getting the shifter on. But it's all got to happen, so we kind of jump in and help each other when it comes to getting the task done so that we can get back on our own task as time permits. So back down now, get some more work done on the header, and Eddie's actually mounting a larger battery inside of the car. We replaced the little bitty battery that we used to race the car with, because when it threw the alternator belt with the 2J in it, the battery wasn't enough to really keep the car running for very long. Well, now it's got a big old Optima battery in it that if it throws the belt, it should be fine to keep the engine running. And we also have not only an electric fan, but we have an electric water pump, Davies Craig pump, like we use on Soccer Mom and I used on Mullet and a whole bunch of other cars. That pump is mounted down on the frame rail, and it will push water through the factory water pump. So if it throws the belt, we've got the big battery. We should be able to keep right on going. So like I described earlier in the first time lapse, this is the part of the header build where it gets complicated because tubes are overlapping other tubes and things get kind of tough to deal with. So in all of the fabrication itself, I had between an hour to 2 hours per tube to get it in the first fabrication. Then we had to remove everything, finish welding it, and then reassemble it back to the car.
All right, so we're back at the shop, and I'm not sure where filming ended up. Obviously I'm at the shop, but I'm tired because we didn't leave here until like almost 5 o'clock in the morning. But the list that we had to do is mostly done. Couple of place fender, put the door back on. We put a gallon and a half or so, like 6 quarts in the transmission, just to have some kind of fluid in it. But we got it mostly done. CJ's actually bolting another fender on, so it looks better, because that fender was kind of killed.
This makes the whole car pretty. It
does look really good. Like, we're gonna have to do something about the rest of the car. So, there it is. 8-to-1 rotary fire header. And holy moly, did that take way longer than I thought it was gonna. Once we, so where we left last night is, like when I was fabricating it, I don't know if it showed very well in the time lapse. I don't even know what I filmed in the time lapse because I started recording and then we were cranking for like 6 hours hard, and then battery went dead in the camera. So what ended up happening was, you know, as I'm fabricating, I start up here, and then I complete this joint, get it kind of around, and then I get it down close, and then the last joint that needs fully welded is the bottom joint at the flange. Normally, which would be the top joint, because the headers would be going down. But, so what we did is I would get everything welded basically, except for the last part of this one, because I would weld it in the car to make sure it aligned really good, and then the flange itself. So then we had to take it all apart and take it out.
Got my baby.
So we had to take it all apart and take it out, and getting this sucker back in the car with aligning 8 pipes all into one to get it in there. And like I said, this was completely a rush fab, even though there's still 25 hours in this header, maybe more. I don't even know, but it doesn't quite align perfectly. I'm hoping that once it gets heat cycled that it will, but I don't want to take it off. So, like I said, Drew, Eddie, and I cranked on it last night till like almost 5 o'clock in the morning. We had a fuel leak and it was so close except for the fuel leak, and we needed some extra strength for getting this sucker back on. So came in this morning, we think fixed the fuel leak, got this back on, and it's ready to crank. And I'm probably rambling a lot because it's the first crank. Lots of question marks around this short block. Yeah, lots of question marks about this whole deal. What's it gonna sound like? Is it even gonna crank? We did spin it over on the starter and make some oil pressure before we put the spark plugs in. So that's good, make some oil pressure. I guess I should plug into the computer and finish up a little bit of tuning. I did decide to go right to the tuning on the laptop because we had to do a lot of the input and output like additions, and that's just so much easier with a laptop. And we're out of time. It's got to go in the trailer today. So let's get to cranking. All right, well, we played musical cars a little bit. Soccer mom's in, so Drew can weld up the charge pipe. Since I'm busy back on the dyno with Sean's Chevy 2 Nova, we've got Rob's Capri Stang. I forget what he calls it. What does he call it? Crappy Stang. Crappy Stang. Okay, so Crappy Stang, maybe?
Don't quote me on that. That's what my dad called it.
All right, so if it's not the name for it, then it's TJ's fault. Oops. So we got to lower the front end since it was in 6-week trim, and we took the intercooler off the front of it, which is why Drew's welding up a new charge pipe. Let's go ahead and crank this thing up. Everybody ready?
Yes! I'm ready.
I am beyond ready. Crank it.
Well, everybody's here now that everybody...
Well, why are you talking about it? Fire it up.
Tell them, jeez, I need my laptop.
Bring the hammer. I don't know, whatever it is you want to say. 300 shot.
Get the stuff to adjust the regulator.
Yeah.
We'll do a key on and set the fuel pressure.
Oh, I lost it all. It's 716. It's right next to your monitor. At an 8-bit. What's it called?
All right.
It's 716. You're right. I lost them. I can't believe I found them.
Terminator XP2, probably.
No, that's the 716. I got
All right, everybody, get somebody on the fuel pressure regulator.
right here.
All right, fuel pressure is 35. See if we can crank it up.
Whoops, that's
34. Why going the other way? Okay. Just for giggles, see if it'll go down. No, it's got to have a leak somewhere.
internal leak.
Yeah,
Like the pump is the only thing I can think of.
It's not going up, it's not going down. Wow. Huh. That sucks. Oh, okay, there it went down. So crank it back, it's 15. So crank it back up. Oh, you know why it went down? Because
Fuel pump cut
fuel
off.
pump cut off.
You want to double check we're getting full voltage at the pump?
I think it's, yeah, we're at 34.
You want me to leave it there or just run it all the way in anyway?
Run it. Well, run it back to about where you are. I think I need to put a little more air in the actual sun, put it all the way empty too. Yeah, it's stuck at 34. I'll just adjust the fuel pressure through the system to see if it'll crank. Eddie, I think we'll put that on there.
Oh, I didn't mean to. But yeah, just go for it. I mean, if you just like stuff you will. Anything else we need to check or do? Bluetooth sensors hooked up, plugs and coils. CJ? The verdict.
Yep.
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 It's there.
It is there.
Things there.
It is there.
What else did I need to do? I think that's it. Data log. Let's data log and see if we get a data log.
Hey, watch out for that.
You turn this thing sideways, so don't watch the window.
Watch the intruder.
Somebody is standing over it.
You're gonna scratch it.
Hold on. Hold on.
No, it's on the slope right there.
All right, is it gonna crank?
Now, go for
We
it.
already did the TPS auto set. When I loaded the tune, we're in park. Fire in the hole, maybe. house doesn't transport well.
I think there's water coming from the behind the water pump pulley, which is the weep hole. Oh yeah. You see it, like, and then every time it drips out from there, it hits the crank and splashes around. Then we also got a water leak. Yeah, just like. What?
To get it from the water pump?
Yeah, out of the back of the pulley, like behind the pulley of the water.
So that's how we did drag that off the shelf.
Let's try a weak hole.
Clear?
Yep.
Alright, well, it runs, and I think it sounds pretty awesome. So I think we've got a water pump that's leaking, but other than that, that was really successful. Now we just gotta dyno it, like, along with Sean's car and Soccer Mom with the new injectors in Soccer Mom. And
I'm crossing it off the list.
what are you crossing off the list?
I'm crossing it off the list.
Yes!
Oh!
Sweet.
I feel better.
All right, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. We'll do another one on the dyno, hopefully. We're running out of time here, and I've got to go get my kids from school. So thanks again for watching and subscribing. I'll see you guys next time.